Good morning. It's Friday, April the 23rd, about 11:30 a.m. This is meteorologist Shay Gibson with Leading Edge Weather, bringing you your final forecast for the CORA Quicksilver race, the Port Royal Sound, starting tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. We got a few things to talk about today. Last night, at the skippers meeting, we did discuss the potential for severe weather tomorrow and thunderstorms in general. I have some updates on that. The weather briefing from Weather Service is almost posted. I just talked to Pete Mullen, so I have some information from him. If it happens to go live while I'm doing this video, I'll just post it. We had a conversation that's pretty much going to summarize what is going to be in that briefing either way. Here's the website. Let me go ahead and minimize myself down to the corner. The CORA website, you can find this forecast down in the offshore wind and weather under the skipper's information offshore wind and weather section. This was the prior forecast before the skipper's meeting. I'll be posting this video to this website today for the final. Let's go ahead and take a look at the area, the regional zone. Let me go ahead and get my little draw tool out. And what you're seeing here, you're seeing clouds creeping in from the west. Those are going to slowly but surely move over the area. They'll start out as mid to upper level clouding at first. And then what you see, those mackerel scales, the old saying, mare's tails and mackerel scales make tall ships carry low sails. And in this actual type of environment is exactly what they meant back in the day when they made this. They knew a thing or two. And so that's speaking to what's going to happen tomorrow. Right now, we have a warm front that is just starting to develop down here in the Gulf Stream. It's going to fire off some pretty severe weather over in this portion of Texas and a little bit westward all the way up into Kansas. So what's going to happen is we have low pressure that's developing here, and that's going to slowly head up over towards the mid-Atlantic tomorrow. What that does is this warm front is going to actually form, and it's going to go up from the southwest towards our area overnight and into tomorrow. This low, as it goes to the east-northeast, is going to have a cold front sweeping down below it that's going to be sweeping ahead and just on top of this warm front. So what that means is we're going to be firmly settled in the warm air sector as Atlantic high pressure brings in this southeast flow today and even overnight. So that's basically what's going to happen. I'm not the best drawer in the world, but let's take high pressure right here with southeast flow. It's going to maybe start out south-southeast tonight, and eventually overnight as this warm front lifts to the north, it's going to bend that wind field a little bit more southeast. I think we're going to get a direct onshore wind out of this with the Atlantic high pressure. So there's some good news and bad news. Good news is there may be a little bit more wind as you head south, so you can gain some forward speed. The bad news is we're looking at the severe potential or storm potential possibly starting early to mid-afternoon. The models are really all over the place. It's very hard to nail this one down. Let me see if Pete has, let me see if he's done this yet. Go back to the home weather briefing. Let's see if it's updated, so we can get an idea of what he's talking about. Nope, not yet. So basically that's in a nutshell what's going on. Here's the WPC 7-day loop, and what you can kind of see here what's going on. The high pressure is settling out in the Atlantic. Here comes the low. This low right here over Missouri is going to be heading towards mid-Atlantic. The warm front's lifting. The rains are moving in. This is by tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. And then this really skips ahead in time. It doesn't really get a 6-hour increment in this, and this is the closest one I could get where it shows those showers working into the area. Taking a look at the area right now, let's and I'll get back to the details on the storms, but right now we have a pretty straightforward southeast flow. I kind of figured that the east winds would hold up a little longer, but they went ahead and turned, which tells me the Atlantic high is firmly out over the Atlantic, or the pseudo-Atlantic high is firmly out over the Atlantic at this point, bringing the southeast flow. This will continue. Folly's already up to 8, so it looks like we're probably going to be on the higher end of the 5 to 9 knot forecast. With any luck, we'll have a little bit more. It looks like even a little bit more inside the harbor. I talked about that yesterday a little bit. If we get a little bit of that sea breezing, maybe those winds will back a little more southerly towards the race time. So we always tend to get a couple more knots inside the harbor just because of the thermal coupling that goes on in there. But a pretty straightforward southeast wind means a lot of tacks to get out and around the first mark and head down to the south. But once you get underway, you're under a reaching type of tactic, beam reach or other to get down the coastline. So what I'll do is for this afternoon, I'm holding the 5 to 9 knots, on the higher end. By the time we start around 6 o'clock p.m., the woof is lower. Most of the models are a little bit higher. If I run them all, we can kind of see what's going on here. And you see by 6 o'clock, most of the model agreements on the higher end of the 5 to 9 knots. So I'll stick to that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take the buoy down, the Fripp nearshore buoy, because I figure overnight you guys are going to be kind of heading down that way and getting closer and closer by sunrise. And what I see down is, for the further south we go, is the gradient tends to get a little stronger. right? So we're here, we're looking at just about after 10 o'clock p.m., we start to see those numbers come up, right? So we're looking at 9 to 13 knots, which is a good thing. And then even by 4 and 5, 6 a.m., we're up to 11 to 15, maybe even 16 knots. So you're kind of steadily going up in the morning. Now, I do want to say that when it comes to the modeling, now this is where things get really squirrely tomorrow afternoon. You can see it's an absolute mess because there's so many different model solutions for storms moving into the area that there's a lot of disagreement. And this is what's driving a lot of hardships on the forecast for when those storms are going to arrive and where they're going to pop up. So I always say hedge on the side of, or caution on the side of error, saying look for these pop-up isolated showers to be in the morning, even before sunrise. You may see a couple of showers pop up. You may see a couple little convective cells late morning. Nothing to be alarmed of. The winds will stay from the southeast pretty much. You may see some ups and downs in the wind field a little bit near these areas. And then we get into noon to 3 o'clock. Be on the lookout for any storms that develop. I think these cooler sea surface temperatures may help to stave some of those off. But we are in the slight category here, according to the SPC, firmly in it, which means that there is a 15% chance for severe weather over our area, which includes hail, tornadic activity, strong damaging winds. The National Weather Service, as of this morning's area forecast discussion, says all models indicate widespread wetting rains across our area later in the day, but the real challenge will be the severe potential during the afternoon, possibly into the evening hours. Now, we do agree that there will be probably a couple, maybe 3 waves of storms, and the one at night looks a little bit worse than the one in the daytime, but we can't rule out any severe weather during the day as well. There is a gale warning, 20 nautical miles and beyond offshore, so just be aware of that because the winds will be coming up to 25, maybe even 30 knots. We're even saying Saturday night winds 30 to 40 knots at some points. So you'll be long done with the race by then. I'm going to take one more quick update on this to see if Pete has posted it yet, and not quite yet. So we'll come back. Here's a GFS model showing the preset moving into the area by 15Z, so minus 5 hours. That's UTC. So that's going to be about 10 o'clock a.m. We see the GFS is pushing a little bit of rain to our area, so we can see some recordable amounts of rain moving in. Now we're starting to get into the granular detail. Here's the NAM3. The HRRR is not ready yet. It only goes out 18 hours. So unfortunately, we won't be able to see tomorrow's storms until probably later tonight and into tomorrow morning. But the NAM3 solution coming into Saturday, here we are at Saturday about 2 a.m. We're starting to see a few little isolated showers. That's what I talked about a bit ago. Watch for these little showers to pop up here and there. This model doesn't do the best, but it does give some pretty good guidance. And as we get into Saturday afternoon, we're looking at about 17Z, which is 1 o'clock p.m. We see some potential for tail end convective cells to move over across the area. Now, hopefully you'll be pretty much by noontime, you'll be into Port Royal Sound, most of you at least, where that first wave will come through. And then the NAM3 brings a really gnarly wave later in the evening and into the nighttime hours. So this is where the real messy stuff comes in according to the NAM. Now, here's the weather research and forecasting model, the WRF, and this one has a different solution. So you can see even differences between these models where we actually start to get a large batch of convection into the area as soon as 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon, and then also lasting through the day and into the night. We get another nasty line there, maybe even another one after that. So it could be 2 to 3 waves of this. And this is what's, again, very confusing, very hard to determine the forecast. But just be aware, I would say anytime between the risk is between 12 and 3 p.m. Then we have another one in the evening, late afternoon to evening, and another one at nighttime. So hopefully you can get your timing in where you'll be pulling into Port Royal Sound before all this occurs. But just be aware the winds will be on the rise. So hopefully I'll give you some good forward speed as you move forward. Now, speaking of wave action, we definitely want to talk about waves. Right now, things are really ideal out there for sailing as far as getting across smoother waters. Right now, we're at about a 10-second period at about 1, maybe 2 feet at the most offshore. And let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going to happen. This is a Fripp nearshore buoy once again. As we go into tonight, we see the significant wave height start to come up. We're looking at 3 to 5 feet by tomorrow morning as these winds get up into the teens, the low to mid-teens. We also see that there's 2. We have the GFS wave arc, which is in the green, and the nearshore wave prediction nearshore wave prediction model going up in the blue. So looking at 3 to 5 feet in the morning, and even the Weather Service is called for 5 to 9, but that's probably a little further offshore. Also looking at this, get my little draw tool out, is we are right here where this black line is. And so we're already at about a 10-second period, and that's going to continue all the way till tomorrow morning until those winds start to come up. And then we see that period drop. So we go from a ground swell to a wind swell very quickly, probably within an hour period. When the winds come up, you're going to get some of that cross chop. We have the southeast winds may turn a little bit more south-southeast. The swell generally is from the southeast, and we can see that here. By tomorrow morning, we're looking at about southeast, south-southeast, and it's just going to become a shorter period wind swell. So you're going to be down to 5 to 6 seconds, 4 to 5 even, once winds really come up. But also just note that the swell heights will be coming up. The period will be going down. It's going to get rougher and rougher as those winds come up. That's a good thing to know. So I would say stay closer to shore if you can. As far as high tide, looks like tonight, we talked about this at the skippers meeting yesterday. The high tide tonight we have 9:48, minus 2.4 on the ebb, so high tide's around 6:10, 6:20ish. Getting out of the jetties is going to be slow, or getting out of the harbor is going to be slow with that southeast head-on wind, but that is especially with a slack tide to start out with. So just be aware. Hilton Head on the way in for tomorrow morning, we will have a slack tide at 7:20 a.m. The flood is peaking at 3:55 a.m. at about 2 knots, and then on the ebb at 10:07 at minus 2.2 is your speed there. So this is Tides Near Me app that I use for it. But other than that, I really think that there's going to be a lot of discussion on tomorrow morning, especially. I'll be getting with Bill Wiggins if I need to. If these storms look like they're going to develop a little bit earlier, become more severe, I'll definitely let him know to let the fleet know as well. But I'm hoping that everybody will get their forward speed overnight with those southeast winds increasing as you head down the coast. By the time you hit midnight to 2 a.m., I'm hoping you'll be getting 11 to 15 knots and really scooting on a southeast wind. So best of luck to everybody, and if anything comes up, I'll be in touch with Bill Wiggins. And until next time, you guys stay safe, and everyone have a good race.